Jack Harper adjusted the straps of his equipment as the shuttle descended onto the surface of Gaia-X. The planet, with its lush jungles and vast oceans, was breathtaking, a stark contrast to the cold void of space from which they had come. Beside him, his teammate and fellow scientist, Dr. Liam Chun, checked the readouts on his tablet. "Looks like we're landing near the Eastern Sea. The scans suggest it's rich in flora we've never cataloged before," Liam commented, his voice tinged with excitement. Jack nodded, his focus on the landscape unfurling below. "Keep an eye on those atmospheric sensors. The last thing we need is a storm sweeping us away on our first day." The shuttle touched down gently, and the team wasted no time. They geared up and stepped onto the alien terrain, the air fresh and tinged with a hint of something floral. Jack took a deep breath, trying to settle the thrill of setting foot on unexplored territory. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, their path illuminated by the bioluminescent plants native to Gaia-X, Jack's communicator beeped, a signal from their base camp advising caution due to unexpected biological readings nearby. "Jack, do you see that?" Liam whispered, pointing towards a rustling in the underbrush. "Stay sharp," Jack replied, signaling to the others to fan out. Without warning, a figure stepped out from the shadows of the towering trees. It was an alien, unlike any they had studied from the orbiting scans. The creature, tall, with luminous skin and eyes that seemed to reflect the stars themselves, watched them curiously. "Hello," Jack said slowly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "We come in peace." The alien tilted her head, mimicking his gesture hesitantly. "I understand," she replied in broken English, her voice musical yet clear. Liam stepped forward, his curiosity overcoming his caution. "You speak our language?" "Some. I learned from watchers. Long time watching," she explained, her gaze flitting between the two men. "I'm Jack, and this is Liam," Jack introduced. "What's your name?" "Elara," she said. Jack noted her comfort with the interaction, a sign they might be more similar to humans than they had anticipated. "Why have you been watching us?" Liam asked, his tone respectful yet probing. Elara stepped closer, the bioluminescent light casting an ethereal glow around her. "Learn. Always learn." "You knew." "Different," she replied, her fascination evident. Jack exchanged a look with Liam. They both understood the importance of this encounter. Not just first contact, but a willing exchange. "We have much to learn from each other," Jack said. "We'd like to understand more about your world." Elara smiled, a gesture so innately human that it bridged the gap between alien and familiar instantly. "Yes, much to share. Follow. Show you." As they followed Elara through the dense foliage, the team behind them buzzing with whispered conversations and quick data entries, Jack felt a surge of anticipation. This was why they explored, to meet the unknown, to discover, and to connect. Liam leaned in, his voice low. "Think of the possibilities, Jack. This could change everything." Jack nodded, his eyes fixed on Elara, leading them onward. "Yes, it could," he agreed, aware that every step was a step into history. They were not just explorers, but also ambassadors on the threshold of a new relationship with a world unlike any other. Jack and Liam followed Elara through the twisting paths of the jungle, each turn revealing new wonders. The alien flora was vibrant, with pulsating colors that seemed to dance in the light of Gaia-X's twin suns. Elara paused occasionally to explain the uses of various plants, demonstrating their properties with a gentle touch. "This one heals," Elara said, brushing her fingers over a luminous blue fern. "In this," she pointed to a cluster of red leaves, feeds. Liam was scribbling notes furiously on his tablet. "Amazing. You have pharmacology embedded in your ecosystem," he marveled, looking up only long enough to ensure he didn't trip over a root. Jack, meanwhile, was more focused on Elara. "How did you learn our language?" he asked as they walked. Elara looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "From the sky. Signals caught, learned from them." Her eyes glinted with a mix of pride and mischief. "Your voices traveled far." "That's incredible," Jack admitted. "You must have a very sophisticated technology to capture our transmissions." "Not I, but my people." We listen, we learn, Alara replied, leading them into a clearing where the light from the suns filtered through in stunning rays. As they set up a temporary research station in the clearing, another team member, Dr. Raj Patel, approached Jack and Liam. "Got something you'll want to see," he said, gesturing them over to his setup where various instruments whirred softly. "What is it, Raj?" Liam asked, peering over his shoulder. "These readings. The atmosphere. It's not just breathable. There's something in it that seems to actively promote cellular regeneration," Raj explained, showing them the data on his screen. "Could explain the longevity of their flora, and maybe the Zeltrons themselves," Liam muttered, intrigued. Alara listened, her face alight with curiosity. "You find good?" she asked, a slight frown creasing her brow as she tried to grasp the scientific discussion. "Very good," Jack assured her with a smile. "It means your world is very special. It might help us solve many medical issues back on Earth." Alara nodded, seemingly pleased with this. "Good. Good for all." The afternoon progressed with the team cataloging samples and Alara providing insights into her world. As the suns began to set, casting a golden glow over the land, Jack invited Alara to join them for a meal back at their base camp. "You would honor us with your presence," Jack said, adopting a formal tone that made Alara chuckle. "I would like that, Jack. I will come," she accepted, her tone mimicking his formality. Back at the camp, the crew gathered around, serving up portions of dehydrated meals heated with portable warmers. Alara observed the process with an amused eye. "Not like our food," she commented, as Liam handed her a steaming packet. "Definitely not," Liam agreed. "But it keeps us going." Alara tasted it cautiously, then smiled. "Good," she declared, though her slight grimace suggested politeness over preference. As they ate, the team asked Alara questions about her culture, her family, her education, and her role within her community. "I am like you, I think. A learner, a sharer of knowledge," she said, which prompted nods of respect from around the table. Jack watched her interact, impressed by her intelligence and the ease with which she engaged with his team. It was clear she was more than just a guide. She was a potential bridge between two vastly different worlds. As the meal ended and the crew began to clean up, Jack approached Alara. "Thank you for sharing this day with us," he said. Alara's smile was luminous as the moons rose in the sky. "Thank you for welcoming me," she replied. "Many days ahead, yes?" "Many days," Jack confirmed, hopeful. Despite the rules of engagement, which dictated caution and distance, he felt a strong pull towards understanding and connection, not just for scientific reasons, but for something deeper, a sense of kinship across the stars. As the days on Gaia X turned into weeks, the relationship between Jack, his team, and Alara deepened. Their initial caution gave way to a robust exchange of knowledge and ideas. Jack found himself looking forward to their daily interactions with Alara, each meeting bringing new insights into the Zeltron way of life. One morning, as they reconvened at the research station after collecting samples, Liam pointed out a pattern in the data they were analyzing. "Jack, look at this. The flora around the Zeltron settlements is denser and more diverse than in other regions. It's like they're doing something that actively promotes growth." Jack leaned over to examine the findings. "Alara, is your people's technology involved in this?" Alara, who had been assisting with equipment setup, joined them at the monitor. "Not technology. It is more simple. We live with land, not just on land. Our practices, what we plant, how we harvest, it keeps land healthy." Raj, intrigued, chimed in. "That's sustainable agriculture on an advanced level. Can you show us?" "Yes, I can show. Tomorrow come?" Alara proposed, her eyes bright with the offer. The following day, Alara led Jack, Liam, and Raj to a nearby Zeltron community. As they approached, they noticed the vibrant ecosystem surrounding the settlement, clearly a result of deliberate caretaking. "This is our place," Alara explained. "We rotate crops. See here and there," she pointed out different areas, "and use plants that fix the soil. Many cycles." Liam, ever the botanist, was fascinated. "It's permaculture. You've developed a system that could revolutionize Earth's agricultural issues." Jack watched as Raj and Liam discussed potential applications of Zeltron methods back home. He appreciated the scientific value, but his thoughts were on the cultural exchange happening. It wasn't just about learning techniques. It was about building a bridge between their worlds. As they walked back to the base camp later that day, Raj was buzzing with ideas. We need to document everything. Imagine the funding we could get with this data. Alara laughed lightly. Funding money, yes? Always about money? Jack grinned. Unfortunately, it's what makes our world go around. Alara nodded, seemingly understanding. Zeltrans trade too, but more about help, less about money. That sounds refreshing, Jack mused. Maybe we have more to learn from you than just agriculture. Back at the camp, as they were downloading data, Liam approached Jack. Do you think we're crossing any ethical lines here? I mean, are we ready to take on the responsibility of what this exchange could mean? Jack considered this, aware of the magnitude of their undertaking. It's a valid concern, Liam. We have to be careful not to exploit their trust or their resources. This has to be a two-way street. Alara, overhearing, joined in. Trust is good. We learn from you. You learn from us. We share a world, even if different. That's the spirit, Jack replied, impressed by her perspective. It's about mutual respect and learning. As the evening drew in, the crew sat outside, sharing stories under the stars. Jack felt a profound sense of camaraderie, not just among his human colleagues, but with Alara too. They were all pioneers on the frontier of interspecies relations. Tomorrow, Jack started, addressing everyone, we'll begin integrating some of the Zeltran methods into our cultivation trials. Let's see how much of your wisdom our earth plants can handle, Alara. Alara beamed. Good. Together grow. And as they laughed and planned, Jack felt a glimmer of something more than just professional respect forming. It was a friendship, tentative but true, stretching across the stars. The integration of Zeltran agricultural methods began under the bright twin suns of Gaia X, with Jack, Liam, Raj, and Alara working side by side. The humans learned to interact with the alien environment more respectfully, under Alara's guidance, incorporating her people's sustainable practices into their experiments. As they worked, Jack noticed the increased vigor in the test plots. Looks like your techniques are more than just effective, Alara. They're transformative, he remarked, surveying the lush greenery. Alara smiled, pleased. It is good to share. Good for all. Later that day, Alara invited the team to a Zeltran cultural event, explaining that it was a celebration of the planet's two suns, which were aligning in a rare eclipse. Curious and eager to participate, the team agreed. As they approached the village, the sounds of rhythmic drumming and melodious singing filled the air. The Zeltrans, adorned in vibrant garments that shimmered in the sunlight, moved in a graceful dance that captivated the team. This is incredible, Liam whispered to Jack as they watched. Alara appeared beside them, dressed in ceremonial attire that highlighted her status among her people. Come join us. Learn our dance, she invited, reaching out her hands to them. Raj chuckled nervously. I'm not much of a dancer, but how can I say no to that? With Alara's patient instruction, Jack, Liam, and Raj attempted to mirror the flowing movements of the Zeltran dance. The villagers watched, their amusement clear but not unkind, as the humans stumbled slightly with the unfamiliar steps. You're doing well, Alara encouraged, her laughter light and contagious. It's harder than it looks, Jack admitted, trying to keep up with her fluid movements. As the eclipse began, the dancing slowed, and everyone gathered to watch as the suns aligned, casting an eerie, beautiful light over the landscape. Alara explained the significance of the eclipse in Zeltran culture. It is a time of reflection and renewal, she said, a time to consider the past and future as one. Moved by the experience, Jack felt a deep sense of connection, not just to Alara and her people, but to Gaia X itself. Thank you for sharing this with us, he said sincerely. It is my honor, Alara replied, her eyes reflecting the rare, celestial light. As the eclipse ended and the celebrations wound down, the team walked back to their camp, each member reflective and touched by the day's experiences. That was more than just a cultural exchange, Liam noted. It felt like a recognition of how intertwined our lives have become here. Yes, Raj agreed. It's not just about the science anymore. It's about understanding and respecting this world and its inhabitants. Jack nodded, feeling the weight of their responsibilities. We need to ensure that whatever we take from Gaia X, we give back in equal measure. Alara, walking alongside them, added, "It is how Zeltrans live. Take care, give back. Balance. That's a philosophy we could stand to adopt back on Earth," Jack mused. The conversation lingered on the walk back as stars began to pepper the sky. Each man was introspective, pondering the lessons of the day. The bond forming between them and Alara was no longer just professional. It was deeply personal and increasingly profound. Back at the camp, as they said their goodnights, Jack felt a renewed commitment to their mission. It wasn't just about exploration or exploitation. It was about partnership and respect. As he watched Alara disappear into the night, he knew these experiences would change them all for the better. The next morning brought with it a soft drizzle, typical for Gaia X's rainy season, but a novelty for the human crew. Jack, Liam, and Raj donned their weather gear and joined Alara, who seemed amused by their bulky outfits. "You look like walking tents," Alara teased as they headed toward a new area for sampling. Jack laughed, shaking off droplets. "We're not exactly built for Gaia X weather, but we adapt." As they walked, Raj brought up the topic of communication. "Alara, you've been teaching us so much about your world, but how do Zeltrans usually communicate affection or friendship? Is it like humans?" Alara thought for a moment before responding. "We use words, like you, but also touch. Touch is more say than words. Could you show us? Maybe there's a gesture or something we could use to show our respect and friendship," Liam suggested, curious. Alara nodded and reached out to lightly touch Liam's shoulder, a gesture gentle and lingering. "This is friend. Show care, show close." Raj smiled and mimicked the gesture, placing his hand on Jack's shoulder. "Like this?" "Yes, good," Alara confirmed with a nod. Encouraged by their exchange, Jack felt a surge of warmth. This simple act seemed to deepen their connection, transcending the barriers of language and species. They spent the morning collecting samples, with Alara demonstrating more Zeltran gestures of camaraderie and affection. Each touch, each sign, was a word in the silent language they were learning, filling the spaces between them with a new understanding. As noon approached, they took shelter under a large canopy to avoid the midday downpours common on Gaia X. They shared a meal, during which Jack decided to delve deeper into their cultural exchange. "Alara, in human culture, we often use music to express feelings. Do Zeltrans have something similar?" Jack asked, passing her a container of their rations. "Yes, we have music. It is for soul, for spirit," Alara explained, her eyes lighting up. "You share yours?" Jack pulled out his portable music player and selected a soft, melodic tune. The sounds floated in the humid air, mixing with the symphony of raindrops on leaves. Alara listened intently, then, to their surprise, began to hum along, picking up the melody quickly. "Beautiful," she said, a genuine smile spreading across her face. Liam looked around, struck by the moment. Music really is a universal language. "Yes, it speaks," Alara agreed. Inspired by the sharing, Jack proposed an idea. "Why don't we try to combine our music? You teach us one of your songs, and we'll blend it with ours." Alara was delighted by the suggestion. They spent the afternoon exchanging songs, Alara teaching them simple Zeltran melodies. The blending of human and Zeltran music created a unique harmony that seemed to echo around them, a sound of two cultures intertwining. As they packed up to return to camp, Raj commented on the day's experiences. "I didn't realize how much we could communicate without saying much at all. It's about feeling, about sharing what makes us who we are," Jack mused, helping Alara with her gear. Alara stopped and placed her hand over Jack's heart, her expression serious. "You share heart. You share soul. This is good. This is trust." Jack covered her hand with his, the contact sending a rush of unexpected emotions through him. "Yes, it is. Thank you, Alara, for trusting us with yours." Their eyes held for a moment longer than necessary, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they were building. As they walked back to camp together, The rain seemed to encapsulate the world around them, a curtain shielding them from anything outside their shared experience. They were no longer just visitors on Gaia X. They were learners, friends, and perhaps something more. Under the soft glow of Gaia X's twin moons, the atmosphere at the base camp was tranquil. The team sat around a newly installed fire pit, a project they'd undertaken to make the evenings more comfortable and reminiscent of Earth traditions. Alara watched, fascinated by the fire's dance, as Jack and Liam discussed the day's findings. "I think we're getting somewhere," Liam noted, flipping through data on his tablet. "The integration of Alara's agricultural insights is showing promising results. It could really help when we report back to command." Jack nodded, his eyes briefly meeting Alara's. "It's more than just data now, though. This is about building something lasting here." Alara, sitting beside Raj, tilted her head, puzzled by the sentiment. "Lasting? Like forever?" "Perhaps not forever," Jack said, smiling softly. "But something that goes beyond just our mission. Something meaningful." The conversation drifted towards lighter topics as they roasted local tubers on the fire, a delicacy Alara had introduced them to. Raj attempted to teach Alara a card game from Earth, explaining the rules as they played. "Is this a form of human bonding?" Alara asked, catching on quickly to the strategy involved. "It's one way," Raj laughed. "Games help pass the time and bring us together, just like music and food." As the evening wore on, Alara seemed more reflective, watching the interactions with an intensity that spoke of deep thought. Eventually, she turned to Jack with a question that had been lingering in her mind. "Jack, what is it like, your human embrace?" Jack, taken aback by her directness, exchanged a glance with Liam, who gave a small, knowing smirk. "Well, it's a way to show affection, to comfort, or show joy. Is it only for mates? Or can friends share this embrace?" She inquired further, her curiosity genuine. "It could be for anyone we care about," Liam chimed in. "It's not just romantic. Would you show me?" Alara asked, her gaze fixed on Jack. Jack hesitated for a moment, aware of the protocols but moved by her request. "Yes, I can do that," he agreed. He stood and stepped over to where Alara was seated. Offering his hands, he helped her to her feet. "It's simple, really," Jack explained, his voice soft in the quiet night. He gently put his arms around her in a modest, friendly embrace. Alara's arms hesitated at her sides before they slowly came up to return the gesture. They stood like that for a moment, under the twin moons, surrounded by the sounds of the nocturnal creatures of Gaia X. When they stepped back, Alara's face was lit with a serene smile. "It's warm. I see why you do this." Jack chuckled, relieved by her positive response. "It's good, isn't it?" "Very good," Alara agreed, her voice a whisper. They rejoined the others, who had respectfully given them a moment of privacy. Raj raised an eyebrow, but said nothing, the smile on his face saying enough. The rest of the night passed with more games and laughter, the team sharing stories from Earth and Alara sharing tales of Gaia X. The cultural exchange deepened their understanding of each other, forging bonds strengthened not just by scientific collaboration, but by genuine affection and respect. As the fire died down and they prepared to retire for the night, Jack felt a profound shift in their relationship with Alara. They were no longer just interplanetary colleagues. They were friends, each learning and growing from the other, embracing the differences that once might have divided them. After the evening's camaraderie, the bond between Alara and the human crew, especially Jack, had clearly deepened. It was during a quiet afternoon, while they were cataloging plant samples in the lab, that Alara's curiosity about human relationships took a more personal turn. Jack was explaining the reproductive cycles of Gaia XS flora, comparing them to Earth's, when Alara interrupted with a question that caught him off guard. "Jack, how do humans show romantic affection?" Jack blinked, setting down his digital microscope. "Romantic affection? Well, it's expressed in many ways. Through words, gifts, actions, and physical intimacy." Alara nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "And this physical intimacy, could you show me? Not just explain." Jack coughed, slightly embarrassed. "It's a bit more private than a hug, Alara. It's something that usually happens between people who are emotionally connected. Alara finished for him, her cheeks taking on a slight glow. Yes, I understand. It is the same for us. But I am curious about humans. Seeing her sincere interest and considering their unique situation, Jack made a decision. All right, I think I can explain in a way that's respectful to both of our cultures. Alara smiled, relieved. Thank you, Jack. I am grateful. They moved to a more secluded part of the lab, where they wouldn't be interrupted. Jack took a deep breath, searching for the right words. Humans often start with something simple like touching hands or kissing. Kissing, Alara echoed, her voice a mix of wonder and anticipation. Yes, it's an expression of affection. Here like this? Jack hesitated, then leaned forward slightly, pressing his lips briefly to her hand. That's a very respectful type of kiss. Alara's eyes widened, her hand touching her lips as if mirroring the gesture to herself. And more? Jack smiled, finding her eagerness both endearing and a little daunting. Well, from there it can become more intimate. People touch each other's faces, hold each other close. Alara moved closer, her breath quickening. Show me, please. Taking another deep breath, Jack gently reached out and tilted her chin up, his fingers lightly brushing her jaw. He leaned in and kissed her softly on the lips, a chaste and tender gesture. Alara responded with a quiet eagerness, her hands tentatively touching his sides. As they pulled apart, Alara breathed out a phrase that was half question, half statement. Your thing is mine, humans? Jack chuckled softly, his heart racing with a cocktail of emotions. Yes, something like that. It's about sharing, giving part of oneself to another. Alara nodded, her expression one of dawning comprehension mixed with delight. I see. It's beautiful to connect like this. They spent the next few hours talking deeply about human and Zeltron relationships, each sharing their species' views on love and connection. Jack found himself not just teaching Alara, but learning from her as well, gaining insights into Zeltron emotions and social bonds. As the suns began to set, casting long shadows over the lab, Jack and Alara agreed to keep their discussion confidential, respecting the intimate nature of what had been shared. They returned to the group, their actions unnoticed, but their connection unmistakably stronger. The day's events marked a turning point, not only in Jack's personal journey on Gaia X, but also in the broader scope of human-Zeltron relations. In learning about each other's ways of love and affection, they had bridged a gap that scientific exploration alone could never have closed. In the weeks that followed their intimate cultural exchange, Jack and Alara found themselves navigating a complex array of emotions and responsibilities. They continued their scientific collaboration, but the air between them was charged with a new understanding, a mutual respect, and a delicate balance of their professional and personal interactions. One evening, as they sat reviewing data with Liam and Raj at the base camp, a communication from Earth interrupted their routine. The team was summoned to a video conference with the mission director, a stark reminder of the oversight from their home planet. Jack, your team's been doing excellent work, the director began, his tone formal but not unkind. However, we've received reports of unusual interactions between your team and the Zeltrons. Care to elaborate? Jack exchanged a quick glance with Alara, who sat quietly beside him. Clearing his throat, he responded, We've been engaging in cultural exchanges to better our understanding of the Zeltrons, which has greatly enhanced our research and cooperation. The director nodded, though his eyes were sharp. Remember, Jack, the primary goal is scientific exploration and diplomacy. We can't afford misunderstandings to jeopardize our position or this mission. I assure you, everything we've done is in the spirit of that mission, Jack stated, feeling the weight of his words. After the call, the team sat in a heavy silence. Raj was the first to speak, his voice low. Jack, maybe we should dial it back a bit, just until things cool down with command. Jack sighed, running a hand through his hair. Maybe you're right, Raj. We'll keep things strictly professional for now. Alara, who had been silent, finally spoke. I understand your leader's concerns. We, too, value caution, but do not regret our exchanges. They are meaningful. We don't regret them, Alara, Liam added, offering her a reassuring smile. It's just a delicate dance we're doing with our own leaders back home. The following days saw the team adhering more strictly to their assigned tasks, focusing on the environmental impacts and sustainability projects that were the official reason for their presence on Gaia-X. However, the bond that had formed between them and Alara couldn't be brushed aside so easily. As the mission drew to a close, Jack requested a meeting with Alara outside the prying eyes of both their communities. They met near the river where they'd first encountered each other, the water reflecting the twin suns like a mirror to the sky. Alara, I wanted to thank you, Jack began, his tone earnest, for everything you've shown us and shared with us. Alara nodded, her gaze meeting his. And I to you, Jack. Our worlds are different, yet you have shown us great kindness and curiosity. Jack smiled, but it was tinged with sadness. When we leave, it doesn't mean the end of what we've started here. I know, Alara replied softly, and we will continue to learn, to grow from what you have taught us. Perhaps, one day, our paths will cross again. As they parted, Jack felt a sense of completion, but also a pang of loss. The mission had changed him, expanded his worldview, and touched his heart in ways he hadn't anticipated. Back at the base, as the team packed up their equipment, Raj clapped Jack on the shoulder. You did good, Captain. We all did. Jack looked around at his team, Liam, Raj, and the others who had become like a family here. We did more than good. We made a difference. Their last night on Gaia-X was a quiet one, spent sharing memories and making plans for future missions. They knew they were leaving behind a legacy of understanding and respect, a foundation for future interactions with the Zeltron people. As the shuttle lifted off the next morning, Jack watched Gaia-X shrink below them, its colors fading into the distance. He carried with him not just data and samples, but a heart full of new hopes for a future where humans and Zeltrons might not just coexist but collaborate, sharing their worlds and their stories across the stars.